So now you can see we've got quite a decent boost forward.
I'm Xanderwood. I make indie games and tutorials on game development. I also play your indie games every week on my channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss a video.
Okay, welcome back to the next video in the off-road game tutorial series. In the last episode we managed to create lap times that would record every time we crossed the finish line, and today we are going to be adding some nitro boosts so we can use the spacebar to give us a speed boost if we pick them up and we use them to get ahead in the race. So let's go ahead and create that. So the first thing I want to do is create the events for it, and then what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll design a little icon, a little image that we can pick up, and then we'll assign it to the event sheet to say that only do it if we have enough of these. So let's get on and do that first. So the first thing we need to do is right click and create a global variable, and we're going to call this boosted, and this is going to be a boolean. So this is going to check to see if we're currently boosted or if we're not boosted. Leave it unchecked and just click OK. Then we're going to right click and we're going to create another one, and we're going to call this boost speed, and it's going to be a number, and that number is going to be 250. No, 200. We can toggle it later if we need to. So that's going to be 4 times faster than our normal speed. So when we hit spacebar, we're going to go into boost speed mode, and then we're going to wait slightly, and then we're going to go back to normal speed, and that's what's going to effectively cause us to shoot forward at a faster rate. Now let's add an event. My keyboard is in the inputs, but yours won't be, because remember, I'm building this as a mini game for my larger game project that I'm currently doing a devlog on. So you won't have all of the folders that I have, but just find the keyboard wherever that was, and we're going to say on key pressed, and that key is going to be spacebar. It doesn't need to be, you can pretty much put it as whatever you want, but I'm going to use spacebar. When we press spacebar, we're going to set that global boolean boosted to true. So that's going to basically just toggle the fact that we're not boosted, we're going to make it boosted. Now, we needed to put that variable in there, that boolean, because we've got a conflicting statement up here, which is basically if we're overlapping the blue edge to the map, which is this, that causes us to slow down and go into slow speed. And then we've simply got an else statement here, which says if we're not overlapping that, then we go to normal speed. So if we try and add in a third variable to that, as in boost speed, the system's not going to like it, because as far as it's concerned right now, it knows we're either going to be slow or we're going to be normal. There's no option in that bit of code block there to say that it could be something else. So what we need to do is add a condition. So push C when you've got that highlighted, go to system and select is boolean set, and then boosted, and then push I to invert it. So this is going to only now be effective if we're not boosted. And now we can hold down Control and copy that and drag it underneath where it says else. So now this whole block of code here only becomes relevant if we're not boosted, which is what we want. So now we can close that up, and that will just work as it was before. Now when we push spacebar, we're going to go boosted, but now we need to tell the system what happens when we do push the spacebar and we are boosted. So add an action underneath boosted, and we're going to go into the car sprite. So I've got mine in an off-road folder. You'll probably just have yours here. Find the car, and now what we're going to do is we're going to set the maximum speed, and we're going to set it to the variable boost speed. We also want to reach that speed pretty quickly because we're going to be boosting, so we need to change our acceleration. At the moment our acceleration is 50, and if I play the game you'll see how slowly it takes to reach maximum speed. It really kind of takes a little while to get up to that speed, so we need to increase that. So we're going to go back in, find the sprite, and we're going to set the acceleration to 1000. So we're going to reach that boost speed now pretty much instantly, which will give us a kind of jolt forward or whichever direction we're traveling in. Then we need to wait, because we don't want that to be effective forever, and I'm going to wait 0.1 second, and then I'm going to copy where it says set boosted true, and I'm going to set it then back to false. Now you can see when we push the spacebar we get a little jolt forward, but it's still not quite what I want. So I'm going to change this 0.1 seconds to 0.05, and then I'm going to set the deceleration because I don't want him to slow down quite as fast. I'm going to set deceleration to 15. What I'm also going to do is set the boost speed to 300. And I think I want to change this wait time here. I want him to be in the maximum speed longer. So I'm going to go 0.2. That's a little bit better. So now you can see we've got quite a decent boost forward. But what I want him to, he seems to be slowing, when you finish the boost, he seems to be slowing down quite sharply. So what I want to do is decrease that deceleration down to 10. But I don't want it to stay on 10, so I'm going to leave it there for another 0.1 seconds, and then I'm going to put it back to its original 25, which is over here. So it's going to gradually get, like as if you're pushing the brakes down harder, it's going to slow and then it's going to speed up and then it's going to take him back to normal speed. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like the way that looks. But what we need to do now is add in a counter, so it's only going to allow us to do it if we have enough nitros. That's great, I like that. So let's go ahead and create those nitros. So make sure you're on the objects layer, double click, add a sprite, and quite simply with this one, let's just make it 4x4, zoom in, and I'm just going to go ahead and make it a white box with like a grey middle. Although I think in the original off-road, these have numbers in them, they're like little canisters. Let's just see if we can make the height 6. In fact, let's make the height 8 and the width 6. That's better. Let's make it white. Again, we'll do the grey middle, and let's go in and add the black to say 1, and then we can duplicate the frame, and then in the second one let's say 2. 1, 2. There, that's better. Although I think I prefer it in the bottom right, just to keep it consistent, you know? Consistency is king. And I don't think I like it black. I think I'm going to go dark grey and soften it up. There we go. That looks good to me. Click on animation, set the speed to 0 so it doesn't play. And there's our nitro. Let's see if we can make it half the size. 50% on the X, 50% on the Y. And there we go. That's great, I like that. The grid snapping needs to be turned off so I can place it wherever I want. These are going to randomly spawn in, by the way, so they're not just we're not going to have to place them all in manually. We're going to randomly spawn them in just in this area here. But for now, I just want to put it here. In fact, let's put it here so I can collect it and add to my HUD. Let's rename it SPR_nitro. We're going to leave it at frame 1, so it's going to be 1, but we need to add in, what's this text here? That's the debug text. We can get rid of that now because we know what's going on. Text timer, right click, clone object, pop it in here. Oh, I've put it on the objects layer. Make sure that is on the HUD layer, and we're going to change the name of it to text nitro, if I can spell, text nitro, and that's going to sit underneath the timer. Now I need the grid snapping back on. But let's change the grid size to 2 by 2, so we've got a bit more control. There we go. Lovely. So now this one's going to keep track of our nitros. So what we need to do, like we did with everything else, so we're going to say under the every tick here, we're going to say add action. We're going to find the text that we just created, which is text nitro, and we're going to set the text to the global variable that we haven't set up yet. So right click, add a global variable, call this nitros. It's going to be a number, and we're going to set that text to nitros. So that's always just going to show how many nitros we have. Now we need to add in some events that say to add to that when we pick up the nitros, but I'm going to just tidy this up here. I'm just going to drag this spacebar command into the controls there, into the controls, so it's nice and tidy out the way. So right click, we're going to add a group, and we're going to call this nitros. We're going to add an event, and we're going to say, quite simply, as I'm sure you've guessed, when the car collides with the nitros, first thing we're going to do is destroy the nitros. So SPR_nitro destroy, and then we're going to go system, and we're going to add to that global variable nitros. And again, ignore all of these because I'm building this as a mini game. To a bigger game, you'll just have the few that we've made here. So we're going to add 1 to the nitros. So let's see if that registers now when we drive around and pick it up. There's the 1 nitro on the course. Picked it up, and it's ticking down the time on this. Oh, it's because I didn't copy it. I didn't clone it, I copied it. Okay. Change this back to timer. And then clone that. Delete the original one. And now bring in the new one and rename this one back to nitro. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. Although we need to change timer here back to nitro, which will now be here. Yeah. Okay. Just make sure lap time. Yeah, timer is set to lap time. Okay. That should be fine. Oh, helps if I picked it up. Picked it up, and it's not showing because it's on the wrong layer. So again, you've got to make sure all of these checks are done, because simple little things like that can trip you up. So see, it's on the object layer, it's got to be on the HUD layer. I can drag that back down now. There it is. Everything should be fine. There's the 0. The timer's above it, and again, we're going to make that nice and pretty. Oh, goodness me, pick it up. There we go, and there's the 1. Perfect. Now we can go back into the event sheet, and we can say that everything we've just said under the controls here when we push space is only on the condition that our nitros is more than 0. So select this little block here where it says keyboard on space press, push C to add a condition, go into system, and we're going to compare the nitros. And as long as this is equal or greater than 1, then we can do it. However, when we push the spacebar, we need to now subtract 1 from the nitros. So subtract from nitros 1, and we'll do that right at the end. So let's try it again. So now I'm pushing space and I cannot do the speed boost. But when I pick up the nitro, if I can pick up the nitro, now I have 1. Let's get on the straight here. Now I can do the speed boost, and now I can't. Perfect. Now there's one other thing we need to do, and that is randomly place these in, and also randomly choose what frame to set them to, because if we select this one, this is going to give us 2 nitros rather than just the 1. So let's first of all code that in and see what that looks like. So we've got this little bit of code down on here that if we collide with it, we add 1, but we need to now check to see what frame that is. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the whole block, and I'm going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to add a condition to each. So I'm going to say on this one, push C, and I'm going to go into the nitro sprite that I created, and I'm going to compare the frame. And I'm going to say if the frame is equal to 0, then we're going to add 1. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to drag it down, and I'm going to say if the frame is equal to 1, then we're going to add 2. Because if we go into this sprite here, frame 0 says 1 and frame 1 says 2. So now that's reflective in the code here. So it's going to check when we collide with it which frame is showing. And if it's on frame 0, we add the 1. If it's on frame 1, then we add the 2. Okay, so we need to randomly spawn these things in now in the map. But because we've got a bit of a weird looking map with it's not just a kind of a single square shape, it's kind of, well, it's the shape that it is. The risk that we have is if we set a random spawn location between, say, the top left and the bottom right, there's a chance that it could spawn in the middle here or on the edges here, and we wouldn't be able to get that. So what we'll do is we'll create some events that say spawn them in randomly between basically here, top left, and bottom right. However, if it spawns on a wall or a solid object, then to destroy itself immediately and then respawn it somewhere else. So let's do that now in the nitros group. So we're going to say system on start of layout, and then we're going to create a sub event, and we're going to say system, and we're going to come down here to loops, and we're going to repeat this action 4 times. So on start of layout, we're going to repeat action 4 times, and that action is going to be system create object, and that object's going to be the nitro. We're going to create them on the background layer, the objects layer, and the X and the Y is going to be a random position between, let's say here, which is 48 on the X, and down here, which is 324 on the X. So it's going to be random between what did I say, 34 and 324. Did I say, is that what I said? 324 and 46. So between 46 and then the Y is going to be somewhere between 70 and 186. So again, random open brackets between 70 and 186. So now when the level starts, it's going to repeat that 4 times and put 4 nitros on the board. So let's drive around. There's 1. There's 2. Oh, there's 3 over there. Or is that the one that we... Why is there only 2? Oh, that's the one that we put in. Oh, it might well have put it on... Because objects is underneath collisions. It might well have put them underneath some of these blocks here, so you wouldn't have seen them. So it would have worked. They would have been being hidden by the walls. So what we need to do is create a condition that says if the nitro is overlapping a wall, then to destroy itself. So we're going to go in and we're going to say nitro. So we're going to say is overlapping another object, and that's going to be TB wall. So effectively, if the sprite nitro is overlapping the wall, then we're just going to destroy the nitro. And we're going to do it again. We're going to create it, but it's only going to recreate the one. So it's only going to do that as many times as is overlapping. So let's try it. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, and there's the fourth one up there. So it's putting them all in. If I start the level, 1, 2, yeah, not overlapping, just right up there. 3 and 4, perfect. Let's try one more time for luck. 1, 2, 3, and the other one must be right on the left hand side. No, it's not there. So it must have created that just the one time. So the easiest way to get around that, add an event, system, for each nitro. So for each nitro, and then we'll drag that underneath. So now it's going to do it for each one. So let's just test that. It should be fine now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, we got 4 there. 1, 2, 3. The next one must be up there. 4. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one more time for luck. 1, 2, 3. And 4. There we go. Perfect. So that works great. The only other thing we need to do now before we finish is randomly decide whether it's going to be a 1 or a 2 pickup when they spawn. So repeat 4 times, create the object. So we need to go down here. We're going to add a new event to nitros, and we're going to do nitro, sprite nitro, and we're going to go to onCreated. So this is going to happen immediately when it's created. We're going to go add an event. Add an action, and we're going to do nitro, and we are going to set the frame, and we're going to choose. So we're going to use a choose expression, which basically says to the system, you choose, but we need to tell it what to choose. So it's going to be either 0 or 1. So it's going to pick frame 1 or frame nothing, and that's going to then randomly pick one or the other. There we go. There's some 2s there. Oh, we don't want those in the middle. So I need to basically make that white wall. Let's do that now. Close that up. TB wall is solid. Yeah, fine. There's a 1, and there's a 2 up there. Look. So it's randomly deciding. We'll try it one more time. There's 2, 2, 1, 1. Perfect. Yeah, there's a 2, 1s and 1s. Great. So that's how we randomize the nitro pickups. It adds 1 when we pick up the 1, and there's another 1, takes it to 2, takes it to 4. When we use 1, drops to 3. Let's get another 1. And now we can't use them anymore. And that's it. That's how we do the nitros, pickups, and the random generation. If you found the video useful, please leave a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you're new to the channel for more Construct 3 game dev tutorials and a bunch of other cool stuff as well. So hope to see you in the next one, and thanks for sticking around if you made it this far.